let's start with what the ACCC is. It's the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. So it is what it says on the tin. Everything competition and consumer law related, the ACCC touches. It's got a really broad remit. It's from compliance, education and enforcement work. It reviews mergers. It does deep dives into markets to understand what's going on. It has the National Anti-Scam Centre and product safety. It just does a huge amount of stuff. And I spent a bit over a decade at the ACCC, and most of my roles were in enforcement. So that was investigating contraventions of Australia's competition laws and consumer laws. So things like misleading or deceptive conduct or unfair contract terms and that sort of thing. And just about a month ago, I established my own legal consulting firm, Holt Advisory. And as someone who loves competition and consumer law and has been heavily involved in it for so long, I just wanted to see what it was like dealing with these complex areas of law from the business side. So the whole idea behind Holt Advisory is we help businesses and law firms and in-house counsel who don't have competition and consumer law expertise to really strengthen their understanding of that and provide advice where that's helpful. Greenwashing is when a business or an individual makes a claim about the environmental friendliness or the sustainability or the ethical nature of their product, their service, or even their company. And when that claim either is untrue or you can't substantiate it, you can't back it up with evidence, that's referred to as greenwashing. And the ACCC, it's absolutely a compliance and enforcement priority for them this year, as it was last year. It's also a priority for ASIC, so it's not just one regulator looking at it, it's quite a few. And ASIC actually just had a successful proceeding last week in the greenwashing space with Vanguard investments. Now, the reason I think the regulators are really interested in it is the bigger and bigger role that sustainability is playing in our economy. So we've got things like our net zero transition. We've got things like the mandatory climate reporting that's coming up. And we have consumers taking sustainability into account more and more when making their purchasing decisions. So with all those things going on, these regulators want to make sure that consumers are getting accurate information and that businesses who are doing the right thing have a level playing field with their competitors and making sure their competitors aren't doing the wrong thing. So when emerging issues like the bigger role that sustainability is playing in our economy come up, the ACCC can sometimes issue guidance that helps businesses to understand what the ACCC's expectations are in relation to sustainability and how it interacts with our competition and consumer laws. So this guidance that they've committed to delivering in relation to authorisations, well, let me take a step back and say what an authorisation is. So there's certain conduct that might fall foul of Australia's competition laws, but in those cases, the ACCC can authorise that conduct and allow companies to engage in it if the benefit to the public outweighs the potential impact on competition. So a really good example of this is the Red Cycle authorisation that's currently underfoot. So Red Cycle, as we know, we'd go into Coles and Woolies and take our soft plastics in and Red Cycle would recycle them for us. And about 18 months ago, Red Cycle stopped operating. So Coles and Woolies and Aldi formed a soft plastics task force and they sought authorisation from the ACCC to do that. Now, as you can imagine, 3 competitors in a highly concentrated market getting together to discuss a service that they're offering to consumers normally would raise red flags under our competition laws. But in this instance, the ACCC authorised those companies to do that. And one of the reasons was a sustainability reason, that it was more likely that those soft plastics would end up being recycled if those companies could work together to solve the problem. So what I imagine is happening with the commitment that Chair Cass Gottlieb made recently is that in these applications for authorisations, the ACCC may be seeing sustainability coming up again and again as a reason why the benefit to the public might outweigh negative competition effects. And it would be a way for the ACCC to again set its expectations to say, businesses, you're applying for authorisation, here's some guiding principles if you want to make sustainability part of your reasoning. Speaking of guidance, we recently got some, and this is around greenwashing, and particularly in relation to ensuring sustainability claims don't fall foul of the Australian consumer law. In particular, misleading and deceptive conduct, which many people might have heard of because it's sort of the main provision people know in the Australian consumer law. It's really common sense. It sets out 8 principles really clearly for businesses to think about when they're making claims with anything to do with sustainability. And it's tell the truth. It's tell the whole truth. Make sure you don't leave anything out. Make sure you think not only about the words, but the pictures and the colours and the whole context of the statement or the representation that they might be making. Making sure they have evidence to back up their claims is a really important part of that. Having your own evidence that you as a business have tested is the gold standard. You can't just rely on what a supplier has said and take that on board, for example. So being able to show from within your own sort of internal data is a great place to start. Although the regulators are looking at this, do not be afraid to make those claims. We want to see them, consumers want to see them, they want to make decisions based on them, and we want businesses to feel confident making claims and showing their competitors and their customers exactly where they stand on these issues. But if they are going to do that, just do it properly. Seek advice from their in-house counsel or their law firm, and make sure those principles are being followed. It must be true, it must be fulsome, and you must have evidence to back up your claim. The final thing I'd say is do not set and forget. Make sure you are reviewing what you are saying regularly. So, for example, you might have an aim to reach a certain level of emissions by 2027, and you get to mid-2026, you're not going to reach those. You can't be making the same claims on your website. You must constantly be reviewing and updating.